Let me share a presentation. Sí, puedo hacer. Okay, I will present Modacc. Modacc is the Catalan fashion cluster. It is a non-profit association created in 2011. It's based in Barcelona and have more than 150 associated companies that represent 40,000 workers and more than 2.5 million of income. The mission of Modacc is to promote the competitiveness of the Catalan fashion industry, focusing on the reinforcement of the fashion ecosystem competitiveness in Catalonia through the cooperation with international companies and institutions. Modacc is the partner of Creative Project, a project led by ITEX, with the participation of partners from Italy, Tunisia, Palestine, Egypt, Jordan, and Spain. The objective of Creative is to foster value chains and business alliance among the Mediterranean textile, footwear, and leather sectors through the development of several activities. One of these activities is the Mediterranean Creative Days that have 2 legs, Creative Talks and Creative Meetings. Creative Talks are this thematic talk within which today we do the third and the last conference. And the Creative Days that will be on 23rd and 24th November, on the next week, here in Igulada, in the Igulada Fashion Lab building, and we will present the winners of the contest celebrating to the project. These winners are young designers that will present their developments in textile, leather, and other materials of services related to fashion. We invite to join us on 24th. And now, nothing more. Let me present Clara Mallart, Sustainability Manager in Modacc. Clara will talk about how the new European regulation will affect the sector and how it will transform it. Clara, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Lydia. Thank you very much. Good morning, everybody. I have prepared a little presentation for today. Can you see it? Okay, I only see you, Lydia. I don't know why happens. Okay, so today I'm going to explain a little bit the legal context and the incoming new regulations that will affect directly to the fashion and to the textile sector. This is a little bit the index that I have prepared. The idea is to go through different documents. I think that someone has the microphone open because I hear some noises, but if you can...
Clara, we can't hear you. You're muted.
And now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So what I was explaining, we will go through different documents. I prepared so we can envision or have the big picture of all the documents that the European Union is working. So we will start with a very big document that I think every one of you knows. This is the Agenda 2030 2030 that give us this international view, so that for achieving this transformation, not only in the textile sector, but in the whole way that we produce and live. And then we will go through different documents and that will give us the path through the key directive and the key new legislation that will affect directly to the sector. So
Clara, no et sentim.
I don't know what's happening now. Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So I try here to create or envision the great picture with a time scale chronographic timeline. And so we can see these documents, how or when they were developed and implemented, and the idea of which goal they are seeking, the whole strategy of the whole European strategy. So as I told, I will start with the 2030 agenda. I think that it's the document that I will go past quickly because I think that everybody knows. But from this big document that the United Nations seeks to transform the whole ecosystem of the whole planetary system, so we can eradicate poverty, protect also the planet. So we have to produce and consume in a properly way, and also ensure the prosperity of every body in the whole planet. So the Agenda 2030 established 17 Sustainable Development Goals and established also 169 targets to achieve each of these Sustainable Development Goals. One of the most important in our sector is number 12. I pointed out some issues here important for the sector. So we have to achieve by 2030 this sustainable management of all the resources that let us produce and keep producing the textiles or the fashion industry. We also have to reduce and think how we are going to reduce the waste generation created by our industry. Also, we have to adopt and transform our operative practices. So we have to implement sustainability and circular economy into the whole supply chain. And also, I also point out how we are going to monitor this sustainable development and how we are going to measure the impact so we can work through all this impact with a quantitative point of view. So from here, from this very big picture, the European Union established, developed, and create the new Green Deal. This is the very big document that Europe has written, so everybody knows which are the objectives that seeks or that we have to look for this transformation. The idea of the European Union is to transform the whole industry or the whole economy through a resource efficient and also through three very important lines. These three important lines. The first one is how we are going to get by 2050 zero emissions. So we will be the first continent to be or to not emit emissions. So this is a very big goal. Another objective, our main objective, is how to decouple the economic growth from the use of resources. So here it comes the circular economy into action. And also the third and very big important also question is to not let anybody behind. So we have to promote equitative and a just transition. Here in the image you have all the main points that the European Green Deal established as important to work through. You can see here the transition for a circular economy. So we have to transitate from a linear model to a circular model. We also have to achieve this zero pollution around the whole Europe. The 3 points, farm to fork transformation of rural areas and simplified caps, all are related with the policies regarding agriculture. The point that also I was explaining, very important to leave not one behind. So taking care that each person or company or institution or organization or entity is able to do this transition. So it also a point that the new Green Deal explores is financing this transition and how it's going to be financed. And the other parts, clean and clean energy, climate neutrality, and sustainable transport, all regarding energy and how we are going to improve or how we are going to implement or which is going to be the force that is going to help us to this transition. And also the last one, but not the least, the biodiversity strategy. So how we are going to conserve and restore and keep our natural capital around Europe. So this is the big picture that the European Commission is working with, and it's the very big document. From there, the other documents that I'm going to explain you are pending with. So from everything that I explained you about the new Green Deal in textile, what does it mean this, no? Then, sorry, I have a little bit of cold, sorry. So we have some challenges because we will have to produce neutral textile and neutral fashion. So this will it will be a very challenging point through the industry or the textile sector. So key documents that work with this path that the Green Deal is seeking. The first one is the Circular Action Plan. I will explain now the new industrial strategy. And also a document that it's focused more in the sector is the strategy for sustainable and circular textiles. The three of them I'm going now to explain. So circular economy plan, as the word it says, it seeks to transform the model, the linear model, into the circular one, and taking care about also the pollution. So entering and getting in and getting out the system, air, water, and soil. So we have to keep these resources clean and safe. making sustainable products the norm in Europe. So every product that is made in the European countries have to be sustainable. A very important thing that I will keep on repeating through the presentations or the documents repeat a lot is empower the consumer so they can do better choices when they go to shop and consume. Also ensure less waste. So this is ensuring that we do not generate waste and also transforming this waste into resources. And also make circularity not only for producing processes, but also introducing the circularity in the functioning of the daily life in cities and regions, and also in the mindsets of people. So the idea is that the European Union lead this global effort on this circular economy. And the Circular Economy Action Plan also mention key different value chains that are very important for Europe, and one of these is textiles. Here is a more expanded explanation of the Circular Action Plan. So when we are talking about sustainable products, what we are talking about, I told that this is a very big document. It doesn't specify targets, but it's like conceptual. It's a conceptual pathway for then development or for after develop the legislative initiative. So they talk about sustainable product designs. So we can achieve this climate neutral. We have to use efficiently the resources we have and also reduce waste. All these points or issues will be recollected into legislative initiatives that I will explain later. Also, what I was saying, the empowerment of consumption. So the idea of Europe is that how to manage the veracity of the claims that companies do around sustainability or the ecological claims that they public or during the publicity of the product. So they are looking for how these claims are going to be certified, and also the method for calculating the footprints of or the environmental footprints of the products. So consumers have the information verified for taking more good decisions when they're going to consume. And circularity also in production processes. When they talk about transforming this model, they are working also, or they mean to different ways to work with the circular economy. One of it is the industrial symbiosis, so working in regions locally so we can use the waste of other industries to convert them into resources, for example. Another point is to develop the bio-based sector, so we could have a new way or new raw materials. Another point related also to the consumer is the locating, tracking, and mapping resources. This is related to the digital technologies that will help to be more transparent and to and will have the traceability into the sector that we know all that it's far away from being very transparent. So these digital technologies will have to let us be more transparent in this side. And also they are working and looking how to verify the whole system. So this can be verified by third parties or public parties, or we will see how they manage. The other big document that also talk and affect our sector is the new industrial strategy. In this strategy, the idea is, or one of the ideas, or principal ideas, is this kind of twin transition. So the transition that we have to do is green, but also digital. So we can achieve the competitiveness of companies and the whole sectors. In this new industrial strategy, there was identified 14 industrial ecosystems, very important to develop here in Europe. And the textile sector is one of these ecosystems. Then the new industrial strategy, what we can look for, the main points of this strategy is the industrial relocalization. So Europe started to analyze about raw materials, supply chains, from all the ecosystems that I explained in the other slide, and they get to know that we are very, very dependent of other countries. So the idea of relocalizate productions, relocalizate or work with how to create raw materials or recycled materials or new materials, it's very important in this new industrial strategy. Also very important, the digitalization. I told you the rate of digitalization in SMEs around Europe is very low, so the transition, it has to be twin, digital and green. Another point also that it remarks the new industrial strategy is this achieving this zero emissions. So the carbonization around the whole supply chain, it will be mandatory. So if we have to achieve the very big objective of the new Green Deal. So here the industry has a very important role to set out targets for the decarbonization. Also enumerates that we have to change the model into the linear, from the linear to the circular economy, so we can start thinking about resources and not about waste. Also, and very important, how it will be financed, so anybody gets behind. And also very, very important in this new industrial strategy, keeping the social rights in the whole supply chains in the whole industry. From these two big documents, also the Circular Action Plan and the new industrial strategy that are think for all the sectors, not only for the textile one. They identified that the textile sector was a very important one, so they developed this strategy for sustainable and circular textiles. This strategy, it was published this spring, and what the strategy sets up is or identify different issues that are very important for the transformation that we were talking about, how to transform this to a circular economy and create this new industrial strategy. So it identifies exactly inside the textile sector which issues are important to transform and regulate, and in this strategy it just explains which kind of legislative or normative documentation will the Commission work for, so the member states can apply them into their legislations. So for this strategy, different points or important points to work or that works the eco-design requirements. So we have to make products long last, and we have to make kind of products that can be repairable and recyclable. Also, the strategy mentions the digital product passport that I will explain later. Also, remarks again about consumers and what's happening with all greenwashing and all the information that comes from brands and companies. So this is also going to be regulated. During the strategy also remarks the strategies for the overproduction that affects in this overconsumption. So we have a lot of textile waste, so we have to work through not generating or preventing this textile waste. Also, the strategy talks about the extended producer responsibility. This is a very important issue that I will explain later when I'm explaining the waste directive. Also, a very important point in this strategy is what about microplastics? So here we have a very big issue in the sector to achieve this non-generating textiles with microplastics. And also an issue that explains here in the strategy is we have to rethink about how which kind of textile waste we are exporting to third countries. So here the point, or a very important point, will be also the directive, the Waste Management Directive. And also the strategy, what wants to do is to create this transition path, that the idea is that it's published this year or at the end of this year. So we would have a little bit a document that can explain us more deeply which are the steps for these transitions. So as I told you, this strategy identify the big issues, but also explain which kind of regulation will be developed for achieving or working with these issues. These are a set of new legislative directives or initiatives or normatives that will be present in these future years in our textile sector. The first of one is the eco-label criteria, today under revision, that establish the environmental requirements for creating sustainable products for textile and for footwear. So today also it's under revision. And it's under division that targets the quantitative targets to get this eco-label. Also the procurement for textile and services. So administrations around Europe are very big consumers of textiles. So they have to ensure that all textile that they buy is made in a sustainable way. So they are also working from their part. Also, the Ecodesign Directive that I will get deeper after, that is also under revision today. A very important strategy for sustainability also is the chemical one, and the REACH normative that they also want to revision. So the idea of creating sustainable products also means that we also have to create secure and safe products, taking care during the whole life cycle of the garment. So during the production processes, which kind of chemicals we use, and thinking that in the lives and during the final or the last phases of the product, these kind of chemicals will not affect the last part of the life of the garment. Also, it's under revision, the Industrial Emissions Directive. So it's very important, as I said, that the decarbonization of the industry. These will be a set of quantitative targets that will companies will have to achieve. So it's very important, or will be a very important directive also into the future, because it will establish taxes for the emissions of carbon emissions. Also, the best available techniques for the textile industry. This document is, we hope that we have it at the end of this year. So they will publish it at the end of this year. So here we will be a set of available techniques that help us to achieve the circular economy also, and how we produce textiles under the circular economy principles. Also, another directive that I will get deeper is the Waste Framework Directive. Then the Textile Labeling Regulation. So this will also be under revision. So I tell it was very important, the information that we give to consumers and what products have to say into the labeling. Also related with consumers, it will be developed a new initiative, the Green Claims Initiative, to ban greenwashing. So the claims about environmental practices in the industry will be very regulated. The new European Bauhaus, because we have to still create sustainable products and ethical products, but we don't have to forget the design and the aesthetics. So they also developed the new European Bauhaus. Also, the European Pact for Skills, changing and transforming the model, the digital and sustainable transition will need to rethink which kind of skills workers do need to achieve this transformation. And another very important for companies is the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive. This one is also already settled. For now, it only affects the very big companies. This is related with the reporting, not only about financially, but also sustainable and ethical practices. But it will be mandatory, we think, for each one of the companies in the European ecosystem in few years. So it's a directive that we also have to take care about. And also about what we were talking about, rethinking what about the shipment of waste to third countries. So this is a very big picture of some of the new directives that will come in the future, a very, very future next years. So two directives that will affect the, directly to our sector. The first one, the Textile Waste Management Directive, it's already settled, and it's already translated into the member state legislations. So we here in Spain, we already have the new law that it will have to be settled up by 2025. And then the other, the Ecodesign Directive, that we have the last draft that today is under revision, but we hope that they will publish it during the next year or the other one. So the first one, the waste directive, it's based on this on the waste hierarchy. So the idea of the conceptual idea of this directive is to prevent. So we have to work for preventing creating waste. And then if we can't prevent, be sure to reuse as much as possible the resources that we have. And then if we can't reuse or thinking about clothing when the garment it's been reused a lot of times, recycled properly, and then recovery and then disposal. So this is the idea or the conceptual idea of the directive. One of the main points is that the collective of textile waste will be mandatory on 2025. So each municipality of Europe will have to collect textile waste. So we will have an increase of textile waste that we will have to think what we are going to do with it. Also, the directive bans the destruction of unsold textiles, so we can work with a tool for working with this overproduction. So companies think about or work for not overproducing more products that they can sell. And the idea and one of the very big points of the directive that transform a lot or affect directly to the sector is that the extended product responsibility. This is that the responsibility of taking care of the management of the end of life of the products that the producers put into the market will be mandatory for each company that puts into the market, into the European market, a product. This it means that companies will have to finance and participate in the organization or in the finance of this management of the end of life of garments. So this will affect also directly how we understand clothes and the production of our clothing. Here I took an example because this directive, as I said, is almost transposed into the Spanish law as an example. In other countries in the European Union also, it's also already transposed because it has to be implemented by 2025. Here are some points that the waste law here in Spain points out, and this is the part that affects the producers of the products. So the law indicates that we have to reduce the environment impact and the generation of waste. So we have to create products that work for not generating this waste. We have also to design products that contain recycled materials. We have to also accept or have mechanisms to accept the return of products, so they can be reused, assuming this management of the final responsibility. Also, for producers, provide the information or the correct information of the product, if it's a product that it can be reusable, repairable, or recyclable. Also establish deposit systems so consumers can return and take full or partial responsibility, what we were talking about, the APR on the waste management. Try to use materials that come from waste, so the reuse part can be incremented. And report also these economic impacts into the whole and the compliance of all the obligation to the whole companies. So one point that the law and the directive also says is that all these obligations, companies can achieve them individually, or they can collectively a group to achieve these mandatory issues. This was a resume. So the other Ecodesign and Directive, the other directive that we have very important, and we think that will be or will have a very important point in the industry, in the fashion industrial sector, is the Ecodesign Directive. Today is under revision, but we have almost a draft, and we get through it. And here we are, or I'm going to explain key points that that this directive is going to point out. And also to say that the regulation of these Ecodesign directives, it will be applied to any physical good that is placed on the market or a service, including components and including also intermediate products. So it will affect to everybody through the supply chain. This directive is based in 3 key points. The eco-design parameters, so a set of parameters that products will have to achieve. The performance requirements, so quantitative information about the targets and the parameters settled up, and the information requirements and how we are going to communicate all this information through consumers and through the whole supply chain. Here is a little bit of the key points of these 3 main points of the Ecodesign Directive. So you can see here which parameters the directive is working with and will be mandatory to accomplish for each product. So durability will be a thing to explore during these years. The reuse of the products, so how we create products that are easily reusable and the same are easily repairable, so we can maintain and last longer the garment in use. Also the substances and the chemicals inside all the garments that we use for the textiles and finishing garments. Also the energy needed to create the products and the garment. So regarding to the efficiency of this product. Also very important to the sector include a recycled content inside the garments, and also work with the remanufacturing and recycling of products. Another big point also that we have or we will have to achieve is also the metrics of or related with the metrics of the products. This is with the measuring the carbon footprint and not only the carbon, but also the whole environmental footprint of the products. And also, again, about what is the expected generation of waste of that product. So for each of these parameters, that the Ecodesign Directive says that we will have different performance requirements. The first will be a target of maximum and minimum levels of accomplishment of each of these parameters. Also about quantitative requirements that can help to improve the performance of that product, and also requirements of functional performance. About the information, the products will have or must inform about all these eco-design parameters and all these performance parameters that are related to the first one. It will establish that it's very important to inform consumers how to, here in clothing, it's not, it hasn't sense to install, but yes, for using, maintaining, and repairing the product. So we can work with the durability concept. Also, the information about how this product can be disassembled for recycle and for disposal. So thinking about the end of life of this product, how it will be disposed at the last time, and other information that will also affect to provide information to the supply chain. So how this information, the directive says that we will have to accomplish or direct. The Ecodesign Directive established that it will have to be created a passport for each product. They talk about the digital product passport, but the information, it will have to be digital and also physical, and it will have to be easily access to this information. And also it will be very important that the information is verified. The digital product passport information, as the Ecodesign Directive established, is this all the set of information required inside this digital product passport. What we were talking about also, the eco-design parameters and the performance, and the product identifier, also the trade number, each thing that a normal product has, but and adding also the user manuals, instructions, the safety also information related to the manufacturer, also the identifiers of each operator. So each operator in Europe will have to have a number, identifier number. Also the facilities identifiers that also will have to have a number, and also information related to the import of the garment. So this is my last slide. I tried to do a little bit of recapitulation of challenges and opportunities that this very big picture of the new legislative framework could offer to the textile and fashion sector. First of all, innovation. We need for achieving all these objectives and goals, innovation in materials, recycled materials, bio-based materials. We also need innovation in productions processes, so we can change this linear to circular production model. Also innovation in technologies. We will need digitalization and new technologies so we can trace and create this transparent and the traceability that we need for creating the circular economy. A very important point also for our very big challenge for the industry is this decarbonization. We have to work with the footprints or the carbon footprint so we can measure and we can know where are our impacts, and we can work to minimize them. Also, another point is the local production, how we are going to localize production if it's possible. And an opportunity inside Europe is this kind of new business models that can emerge from the circular economy as we change the way that we use and see or wear clothes. Another opportunity inside the European Union is this kind of job creation, also related to the new skills and the new innovations that we need to achieve also the circular economy. So this is the new picture for the fashion and the textile sector, and that's all. If anybody has questions. I was very clear. That's it. Súper claro.
Perfect, Clara.
Super.
Okay, if anybody have questions, we can close the talk. All clear, Clara. Perfect. Okay. Thank you so much for your attendance.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
see you soon. Bye.
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 Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.